Have you ever looked at a lake or a river and wondered why it looks so dirty? Well, that's due to the fact that invasive species have taken over most lakes and rivers in the United States of America. Today we are going to particular the St. Croix River in Minnesota. This is the St. Croix River, one of the most important rivers in Minnesota, yet it is filled with invasive species that harm it. These invasive species harm the river in two main ways: nutrient loading and sedimentation. There are many plants that do these two harmful actions in the St. Croix River, such as purple loose-leaf stripe, Eurasian water milfoil, curly-leaf pondweed, starry stonewort, and buckthorn. But today I'll be going over curly-leaf pondweed and buckthorn because they are claimed to be the most harmful. Let's begin with curly-leaf pondweed. Of the two harmful actions I mentioned earlier, it mainly acts as a nutrient loader. As a nutrient loader, it is incredibly bad for the water quality because it changes the chemistry of the water surrounding it. So, your typical native plant lives all summer and dies. Plant dies, it rots and lets out a massive amount of phosphorus into the water. This is where the nutrient loading comes into play, although it can also be called internal loading. This process feeds the algae bloom in the water. These algae blooms are incredibly damaging to the water quality. The algae blooms turn the water green and turbid. When the algae blooms finally die, bacteria consumes it, using a fair amount of oxygen in the water. This is called hypoxia, and it can stress and kill native fish, upsetting the ecosystem. Now let's get into buckthorn, which is just as damaging as curly-leaf pondweed. Buckthorn is often called the erosion creator, which I think tells you everything that I will be explaining. Buckthorn grows along the river, not in it like curly-leaf pondweed. Buckthorn grows leaves before native plants have a chance. By doing this, the buckthorn is turning the land along the river into a dense, dark canopy that does not allow ground cover native plants like ferns and flowers to grow. When buckthorn does it, it takes over the soil. When it's just one plant in an area, it's only certain nutrients, leaving the others to fester. And when rain comes through, it flushes all of the external nutrients into the water, negatively impacting the river. Another thing that happens is when it's just buckthorn in an area, when it rains, the soil is very light, so it rushes straight into the river. Now that the soil is at the bottom of the river, it is called sediment. The increased sediment, often referred to as mud or silt, settles on the bottom of the river, and it smothers the gravel bed. That the St. Croix's rare mussels need to survive, and that the game fish, such as smallmouth bass, use for spawning. There are more invasive species that harm the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. These are just the two most prominent. I hope that inspires you to look a bit more carefully at the plants you see near waterways and think about how they affect things around them.